Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up voice because I think both you and I have very, very different but very ingrained experience with voice. For me, it's
Mm.
podcasting. I've podcast, and it's basically voice. I mean, there's not
Right.
much to it beyond that. And for you as well, I think so. You did debate for a large
Oh,
majority of.
yeah.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Like obviously, so you made the decision in college not to pursue debate. We might
Right,
as well
yeah.
quickly address that as well. Is there any reason?
Yeah, and this is not a dunk on the debate community at
Yeah,
all, like,
yeah.
they're like, wonderful I've met some of my closest friends in the world, doing debate, but how about this? I think that one thing that I saw just to kinda give some background,
Yeah.
I did, a total of 7 years of debate,
Oh my
3
god.
yeah, 6 fresh out of the crib in 6th grade, started debate, I did what's known as the public forum style, the
Mhm.
traditional like two-team debate for 3 years in middle school, and then I transitioned over into congressional debate for 4 years in high school. And again, it's given me a lot of amazing oratory skills. It's given me some of the best friends that still have today. It's really improved my reading and researching and writing skills. So it's a beneficial
Right, right.
activity. But I ultimately decided to give it up because I didn't like who I was becoming
Whoa.
through it. Well, I will say that you know I think one of the toughest things about, debate for me was that it came down to, not I wasn't loving it anymore because it was such a structured way of, dealing with people. I realized that, there's so much like, I mean, the friendships that we have, I really value the people in my life for, for our relationship. And I realized with debate that I was valuing relationships for more material costs. I tried to build a relationship with someone because I knew that I needed their support. I needed their vote. I needed either in committee or to be presiding officer. But these are all just terms in debate that we use. But the point is I was you basically trying to use people and
Mhm.
I hated that about myself. I really, really hated, the, um I hated the perspective that I was, taking, on friendships and just how I treat people in general. So I wanted to improve that about myself. And I will also bring up that, I think it kind of unconsciously affected me as well because I realized that a lot of the more manipulative behaviors that I needed to get through the debate world were kind of leaking into my personal life
Oh,
as well. Yeah,
yeah.
and you kind of see this like transformation in yourself happening without. I mean, it was happening without my own consent sometimes. Like it just I had, like you know what I mean? Like, you just
Yeah, I
acted in a
do.
certain way without and you're like, "Oh gosh, like, I just really did that to someone. Oh, no." So I think that I, made a very conscious decision, my senior year, really, actually, to step back from debate, and then I realized, coming here to Harvard that there was I have a lot more that I'm just as passionate about other things, and that other things suit they other things will allow me to become the person that I wanna be. Um, for example, I kinda took a step back from pursuing American politics, like, I that's why I even went into congressional debate in the first place because I found American politics so interesting. But I wanted to take a step back from that, and I just kind of realized that pursuing, like, the realm of diplomacy, I've gotten already involved with a lot of, like, initiatives here at Harvard that are more focused on that, and I just feel more like myself. I feel like I'm consciously I'm able to consciously make decisions that better myself and I'm able to better the people around me because that's what I've always wanted, honestly, like those meaningful relationships with people, being able to empower other people, being able to empower myself. And I realized that I just couldn't do that through debate anymore. So that's kind of
Yeah.
my decision.
Oh man, you know how what's so crazy about this? You
Right.
know what you described about like some activity bringing out the worst in you, or just like
Mhm.
unfavorable characteristics, right? Like
Right,
it's
yeah.
toxic, right? By
Right.
definition, it is toxic. So it aligns so perfectly with an experience of mine as well. So I've always done aquatics as a
Mhm.
sport, mainly swimming. I would categorize myself as a swimmer.
Mhm.
But in high school, there's seasons, right? The in California, spring season is swimming and fall season is water polo, right? And I think I
Yeah.
mentioned to you on
Yeah.
this when we were eating one day, but in water polo, first of all, it's a team sport, and this may be a hot take, but for team sports, I've always found it frustrating to play those because you could have the perfect, I mean perfect game, and your team loses, right?
Oh,
Which I suppose it's also on you because you're supposed to keep up the team, and keep morale up, keep
right.
positivity in it. But
Mhm.
still, there's still that element of you don't have complete control over your performance,
Mhm.
right? But for swimming, I mean, you're racing the clock. I mean, there's no other. If you do bad, that's all on you. You can't blame anyone else.
Right.
But the reason why I brought this up is because in water polo, right? In water polo, it's a physical sport. And there's rules in water polo where you can't like punch people, you can't do that. But the problem is the refs are above surface, right? They're on the pool deck looking down. And the thing about water is that it's hard to look through it. So anything above
Oh,
surface that you do, yeah, if you get caught, you're out, right? You're ejected.
right.
But anything that occurs below the surface, that's fair game. Because refs
Oh,
don't see it. Refs, hey, you can't get caught for what you can't get caught in, right? What's
no,
that term? It's like you can't commit a crime if don't get caught. Obviously, don't think about that,
uh,
but
no underwater refs, no mermaid refs at all? Nothing?
if I water polo would be a much safer sport if it was, but unfortunately, we do not have the budget for that. So, um, so with that in mind, right? There's scratching, there's pulling, there's
Okay.
grabbing, there's so like for instance, when we're guarding each other, we generally grab the suits of the other person we're guarding
Oh,
because it's
oh,
it's it's a good leverage point from their hip, right? You grab their suit, they can't flail anywhere, and you're just like, yeah, my hands are free. I'm not doing anything. It's nothing above the surface. So obviously, it's so coming. I remember my freshman year season, right? I did not do any of that. I was like, bro, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't play dirty. What are you talking about?
right.
And fast forward this to my senior year, I'm doing everything. I'm kicking, I'm grabbing, I'm pushing around, right? And then I guess the question that both of us have to answer is this like our true selves and that water polo or debate has brought it out of us?
Mhm.
Or is it just like, I because I certainly don't want to think that I'm that kind of guy just
Right,
normally.
yeah.
But like, is it part of us? Do we have to accept it, or do we try to axe that part of ourselves out?
And I remember you kinda bringing this up, and it was actually a question that really, like, made me think.
Yeah, it
No,
made me
really,
think as
I was
well.
really thinking about it because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, well, geez." I but I mean, I think the conclusion I came to was that ultimately we are who we are because of the environment that we're in, right? Like
Nurture.
right, exactly. At least that's my perspective. Like, we are who we are because of the experiences we've had, because of, like, where we are situated in the world. I very much agree with the phrase geography is destiny, for example.
Ooh.
Um, so I think that in those scenarios, both in like the realm of manipulative congressional debate or aggressive water polo, very aggressive in different ways, but still aggressive and competitive and just mean. I mean, those are versions of ourselves that we're just trying to survive, right? You're just
Right.
trying to survive the hard climate. That's what humans have always been trying to do. I think, just trying to adapt to their environment, trying to survive, basically. So I think that the people that we were in those realms do not have to be the people that we are today, because again, I think we're in a different environment. We're especially here at Harvard. I mean, obviously you invited me on this podcast to talk. We have like dinners together, so we're definitely like trying to be there for one another. So I think that yes, we acted in that way, but we were acting in that way because of a particular environmental pressure. And I
Mm.
think that we're just reacting to our environment. And so I think that when we're put in this more comfortable, more supportive environment now, that we're able to adapt ourselves and to really take on like the personalities that we want.
Mhm.
Then at least that's my take, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I suppose the immediate follow-up question is, what is Harvard's environment, right? And how
Oh,
will we change to it? Because, obviously from the outside, people see Harvard as this super competitive, just grit and grind, just really hardcore environment. And I don't know if that,
right.
like, from the inside, well, I haven't seen a bunch of it yet, but
Yeah, right.
it doesn't seem that much. But the question still remains: would this place also make us competitive, or maybe like raise some negative sides of us? I certainly
Mm,
hope not to.
right,
Um, I see academic competition as futile, honestly, but there's
right.
that fear.
Uh, and I totally get what you're saying. Like, I know we've talked about like kind of the culture of pre-professionalism that seems to be pervading here a little bit, but I don't know. I really disagree with this like notion that a lot of people that I've met who have either gone through Harvard or graduated, they're so jaded about it, and it really
Whoa.
kind of stunts me because I the culture that I'm finding here is actually, or maybe I just didn't have that supportive of a high school environment. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm finding it to be a very supportive environment. I'm really liking like my life here, like genuinely.
Facts,
I
facts.
really, really like it. But then again, I think I've been pretty lucky to find like a our friend group. Been like I have pretty great suite mates. So I think that I think it depends on the mentality that you come into Harvard with and what you want to make out of that experience. And I know what you said about like Harvard molding us, but I think the truth is that Harvard molds to us, right? We are Harvard. We are Harvard. Like, and
Damn.
so our mentalities, our mindsets of what we come into Harvard wanting, I think that's going to ultimately influence, I mean, it's going to make up the environment. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I have pretty like high hopes. I mean, look at people like you doing this podcast. Look at like for example, my sweet mate. She's so artistic and she just likes to put art out into the world and really hear others. Um, and obviously, we have our friend Daniel, who's really trying to better the politics of this country through his like efforts and through his understanding too. He comes from an amazing background. He just overcome so many obstacles. So again, I we are Harvard. So I really, really reject this notion of that
Mm.
Harvard's gonna like I don't know corrupt us in some way.